Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on issue number 2 of the Monogamous Adventures of Edward and Pepper, a Primal Paper Comics release as written and created by John Johnsick and featuring art by Brandon Washington. And I don't actually have a physical copy of this particular issue. I'm not actually sure if it was actually released in print format or if it's digital only, but Primal Paper Comics has been putting out just a ton of awesome indie comic entertainment, from Red Knight, which I've covered in reviews previously, to The Ends, to Willpower, and such like that. The list goes on. And the Monogamous Adventures of Edward and Pepper, I covered the first issue in a review some time ago now, and I was really impressed with it, really enjoyed it. And in lieu of being able to actually show preview imagery in the video, as I used to do in podcast format, because I'm incapable of doing so anymore, I got permission from the creator of this particular book to put in the description below the first 6 pages of issue number 2 for your own perusal. You know, you can basically check them out, see how awesome they are. They build up to just a grand sort of cliffhanger in the 6th exclusive page, which was not, featured on the Edward and Pepper fan page on Facebook. And it's just all kinds of awesome. You can also peruse some of the first issue's pages, now inked and colored, and just looking absolutely phenomenal. But this issue stood out to me in that, very much what I like about the Edward and Pepper dynamic is that it's very much grounded in reality. It kind of starts us off with just the, average daily lives of these two titular characters, Edward and Pepper, who are very much, as the title suggests, a couple. And they both have superpowers. He can turn, hard and rock-like and has a sort of enormous strength to him. She is a practitioner of the dark arts. And so, hilarity and havoc ensues when, upon, sort of meeting an old friend and female issues coming in to the point where he has to go shopping at Hellmart. I love that name for the store. It has sort of multi-layered dynamics, why you would call like a Walmart-type store Hellmart, with everything considered in this universe, but with a chance encounter falling on from the very mundane, just daily life living, with a canine that seems to be, as Edward would put it in this issue, staring into his soul. It is sort of the bullet point of a turning point, if you will, that something is coming, something potentially ominous, nefarious, and it's coming in multiple forms by the end of this first issue, which is, as Johnsick had explained to me, the first of a 3-issue arc. Now, what comes in the format of this issue are multiple people. There's one who's like bearded, and you're not quite sure, is this guy like the devil? Is he Satan? And it very much, there's a scene that makes me wonder if there's some sort of familial bond between he and Pepper, because it seems like the entirety of the crux of this is all dependent upon her. Somebody is coming for her, gunning for her, and they're sending their minions, put it that way. You have this cat Cornelius, who's featured on the cover art, and the art throughout this issue, I have to say, very highly reminded me of the stylings of Robert Crumb. For those unfamiliar, I suggest you Google his art and you check out these preview pages, because they are very detailed, and there are lines upon lines and just multi-layered and multi-tiered aspects to the artistry of this issue. I love that. You get a sense of action, and there's even one panel where Edward is in full rock form and he's fighting off one of these thugs, which I gotta say, absolutely love that. You have these two big sort of demonic looking thugs called Sticks and Stones. The connotations there, breaking your bones, you don't want to mess with these guys. But I love in this one action panel, you actually kind of have a playing on what they're doing in the Mortal Kombat game series, where you have that X-ray ability, like a punch is thrown and you get to see a sort of snapshot of ribs being broken. I absolutely loved that. I thought that was a very creative way to show you what's unfolding, for lack of being able to show in a 2D format sort of 3D momentum. But you really do get the sense of the impact, suffice to say, because of that, in the artistry of this book. But as I say, you have these people gunning seemingly for Pepper. You're not sure what the purpose is, what the means to the end is. And, of course, Edward kind of gets an idea of this. After a sequence, which, again, I thought was absolutely brilliant, you have almost a flashback unfolding with Pepper as her younger self. And her younger self knows something is coming, and she sort of transmogrifies a vision of herself to her current self to say, he's coming, he's here. well, whom is he? What exactly is the nefarious nature of, the impetus behind all these characters gunning for Pepper remains to be seen by the end of the issue. But there are some twists and turns in that whole battle effect when Edward wants to take up arms and wants to protect the woman he loves. They're sending in the dogs, effectively, and there is a dog, that dog that is seen earlier in the issue comes into play as a certain three-headed dog from mythology, and I'll leave it there. I just loved how that kind of was again, a bullet point to the unfolding aesthetic of people gunning for Pepper. But you're left off with them holding their own, but knowing something has just happened. There's a turning point that has just happened by the end of this issue that perfectly, is a soliloquy to what is to come. And it feels unsettling by the end. There's this level of uncertainty and it feels like the whole world has been flipped on its side and you're not sure why. And that's just a great hallmark of what this issue was able to bring to the table. And so I couldn't more highly recommend, if this sounds interesting to you, if you peruse the 6-page preview, as well as the first 5 pages of issue number 1 in color, as I say, inked fully and looking awesome, and your interest in this particular comic, is risen. You go check out the Facebook page, which will also be linked below, for the Edward and Pepper fan page, as well as Primal Paper Comics. They have, just as I say, a slew of great indie titles that are coming out, and these, artists, they put their heart and soul, whether it be the art on the page or the writing. As I say, as an example, the Red Knight series I've been a big-time fanboy over, and I've loved every issue of that. And so far, so good with, Edward and Pepper. I really dig where they're going and the foundations they're laying and the question of what is to come. If a comic by the end of it can actually have me invested and wanting to see what's going to happen next, I can give it no higher praise. So I highly recommend you check them out, as I say, especially if your curiosity gets the best of you and you like what you're seeing with these preview pages in the description below. And give the, Edward and Pepper Facebook page and Primal Paper Comics Facebook page, as well as their website, some love. And so, yeah, otherwise, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you've read this comic, if you, what you thought of the preview pages, whether you've read it or not. And, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on it. So, otherwise, I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.